Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 8th of April. In fact, I'm looking at this euro dollar. I just wanted to come out to a weekly pivot, just a weekly pivot, a weekly picture, just to show you how tight this range is at the moment. Now, it has triggered a bearish pivot swing here that's we could see further downside from, but then stuck in a doji, which indecision candle. Well, there's a lot of indecision around these markets at the moment, and it's part of the reason why the range on the euro has come down. The average true range recently has dropped as low as 52 pips there. So if you're trying to get a good trade out of it, like 30 or 40 pips, it's going to be running over 2 days. Most likely. There are the odd days, or there has been the odd day where we've seen 20-30 pips may be possible, but in fairness, it's at the moment just looking quite difficult to get direction. As you see, we had times when it was running in direction last week. Now, unfortunately, you can't really trade on this as such. Because it's obviously changed direction just as you think it's changing direction, or has changed direction, and then it switches back again. So let's have a look at where we are on this from this. Actually, I just want to change this to a 60-minute chart. It's just in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch across to a clean chart altogether here. There we go, and switch this back to a 60-minute. And look at where we are at the moment. So at the moment it possibly could push up towards Friday's highs there, or the bodies, the R1 sort of area. It sort of looks like it's got that potential. However, my preference on the euro for some time, and you can see the slightly lower highs coming through there, not necessarily the best of lower lows, but all the same, it's still got a bit of a low trend coming through, and it may be just well worth waiting to see if it sort of starts breaking to the downside. Now, it went to the downside eventually on Friday after stopping my short out through the non-farms, but it never really got that far down, and well, we could end up with the same sort of shape. But if we're looking for this today, I'm really looking for a break of this sort of area on the downside. If it starts breaking through that pivot, maybe it could be an initial entry. You've got to watch. It may just find a bit of support off this hourly trend line, but I'm really looking for, well, back to Friday's lows, and maybe beyond there. So that's where we are at the moment with the euro. The pound. Let's go out to dailies first. Well, I'm going to look at the bigger picture on this later on, but you see how consolidated it is from a weekly picture, which is pretty much shown on dailies anyway. But again, there's sort of this. Well, there was a bearish pivot swing on the Thursday there, followed through on the Friday, sold off, and well, it's looking quite soft at the moment. We have just come back to its weekly pivot. It seems to be wanting to sell from that, and may just continue through. Now I'm going to again just go back to the just a clean 60-minute chart and look at what we got here, and maybe a break below that pivot becomes a sell point this morning. It's just 8 o'clock now as I'm doing this. I normally wait to see a reaction around this area, but if it starts moving beyond that daily pivot, I'll look on the short side of that. I know it's sort of here you'd be thinking, oh, it's pretty reversal, some marginally higher low, etc., but I'm still bearish pound at the moment. Dollar yen. Well, it pitched last week. I mentioned I had this trend line. I was looking for it to break, and it eventually broke. It actually closed above even, and well, it's just come back to test its weekly pivot pretty much from where it is. We come back to that 4-hourly where it's actually run through it a slight amount. There's an indecision in these markets. Last week, if you look at it in the whole, it pushed up, and it was in a sort of started in an upward trend the previous week there. But the amount of times we just saw it just going sideways, and well, at the moment I wouldn't look to be buying it at this stage, because it has broken the sort of trend line that's across there. It may have put a lower high in, but all the same, my preference it really is to see if it shows a bit more upside, and then possibly later in the week it's more of a buy. But looks like it might be having a bit of a correction here at the moment. Well, it has had a bit of a correction. Whether it's finished, we'll see. A bit iffy though. Aussie dollar, very little movement on the dollar yen often as well. Aussie dollar talking about little movement, and well, look at these last couple of days that we saw last week, and I mean it's just really not going anywhere significantly. What could push it to the upside, whereas as mentioned last week and a few other times, is if China gets a deal with the US, as the Aussie, Australia is the biggest supplier of raw materials, so China, it could have a beneficial effect, and we could see an upward shove. Fundamentally, there's things aren't great, so and the next change could be a downward change in the market. So pretty much price that in, but it's sitting there in a stalling position, and really it's quite difficult for long periods. I mean, it looks great when there's a bit of news that has come out, but that's the only thing that's really moved it last week, and we just sit for long periods. Okay, slightly down at times, but not the easiest. And this morning, well, it's looking like it could be on for its daily pivot there, but it's barely any points there at all to it, about 9-10 pips, so not of interest to me this morning. Canadian dollar, so the Canadian dollar pushing, well, trying to push its push to the upside maybe. It's a funny old one. It's sort of probably on the 4-hourly looking like a much better trend in the later part of the week there. It had a bit of divergence at the lows here, and it's been moving up, and perhaps again it could continue in that mode. The weekly pivot's not far below. Would prefer to see that taken out first. If you was looking at the long side, it'd be worth just seeing if that comes back for you, if you're not already long. If you got long from earlier signals, there was a divergence last week, then there was a higher low that was a confirmation, and it's been pushing since then to the upside. From where it sits at the moment, well, as I say, I'd prefer it to come and catch that weekly pivot out the way, just preference really, because the probability of it being hit is quite good. And then if it starts back on its route up there, well, it's got plenty to go at. Another soft old pairing. I'm just going to look at a couple of other pairings here quite quickly. I'm going to look at the pound yen. We've got a few traders that are sort of trading pound yen at times, and I can understand why. Some clean moves on it at times. At the moment, similar-ish picture. It's already selling off here as well. Just missed out on the weekly pivot. Would have been nicer if that too had run into its weekly pivot, because it's always leaving a bit of a draw, but at the moment looking bearish here, and well, we could be on there down towards the S1 there as well. So I guess the weekly and daily pivots up there. The daily pivot's untouched as well, which may be just worth watching a little bit, but overall it looks quite bearish. Right, that's it for me. I wish you a great day. I'll put a weekly big picture outlook on with some more fundamental and sentiment analysis on it for you later on today. Have a great one. Bye for now.